Welcome to this week's video. My washing machine, I time recording, don't I? The washing machine is going 90 in the background. You split my tea as well. I have loads of odd jobs, snaggies that I need to do in the living room. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stain the stool that I made in my woodwork class. So it is a stool, however, I think I'm going to treat it as a side table and I'm going to put it over near the window. So I picked up some wood stain this morning. I'll pop in some clips. Now they didn't have all of the colours that was on the wood blocks. I just went for natural because I'll show you my stool now. I did show it in a garden video, so apologies if you've already seen it. I want to keep the grain of the wood, and I love how the dovetail joints and the two different grains of wood meet each other. And also I don't want to just paint over it because it is nice wood, and it took me ages to chisel and perfect and cut that and sand it. So I want to show my wood joints. So I just want to enhance it and protect it with a wood stain. So I just picked the shade natural. So that's what we're going to do now. I did want to stain out in the garden, but there is rain clouds. So I think I'm going to just pop down my little painter's sheet on the table and do it in the kitchen with the door open. So it feels like I'm outside, but I'm not in the rain. So that was the plan. I also need to paint this door. I just need to touch up some of the woodwork, and I want to see about getting some fabric. And I also think I'm gonna take off, I think they come off on the living room couches, the cushion covers, because this one has like a couple of stains on it. So I'm kind of hoping if I put them in the washing machine, it might work. My only concern is that the shades, like I don't want it to turn out a different colour. I'll put it on a hand wash setting and pray for the best. But anyway, let us go to the kitchen and stain my stool. For wood staining, I just have a pair of disposable gloves, a sponge, a stirring stick and some cloths. So this is my stool or side table. As you can see, it's kind of perfect size for both. Yeah, you could use it as both, dual function. I'll give you a close-up of the bits, but this is what I did. I was doing a woodwork class for anyone who may have missed it since the end of January, just after I got my wisdom teeth taken out actually, and it was I think 10 classes. This is all wood glue and joints except for 4 nails on the top. There's wood glue, nails, and then I soaked them in and covered them with filler. So yeah, as you can see, it's absolutely bare, freshly sanded, and it needs, yeah, just something to protect it. Okay, so here is my joints. So this is the dovetail here. I'm just hoping that you can see it with the lighting. You can see this one better here. So there's a dovetail for the 2 bottom rungs, and then these top rungs here, these have mortise and tenon joints, so you can probably see it a bit better here. So I had to chisel out, so I had to measure and mark the hole for this, then I had to chisel out the depth for this to go in. I think it was 30 millimeters doesn't sound like much. 30 centimeters sounds like too much. Maybe it was 30 millimeters. So yeah, I had to do the chiseling for that, and then that slotted in, and everything has been as filled in as best I can. And my teacher was saying that this kind of joint, a dovetail joint, would make it really, really sturdy. So if you went to pull this apart, this joint, you wouldn't be able to just pull it apart. It would take a lot of force to take this away. So yeah, that is how it's looking. And I smoothed the edges as well. Ignore my washing out there before the rain comes. So I have smoothed around the edges. Apologies for the lack of focus here on my camera. So all edges are nice and smooth. And he also said to smooth, see this edge here, because he said this was like a point, and he said to smooth it down, because if I didn't, then when I go to varnish it, there will be like this harsh point where the varnish may not, or the wood stain where it may not stain, and you might end up like with a white line. So he said just to sand this bit here. I actually don't know what type of wood this is. I forgot to ask him. I don't think it's pine. I'm not actually sure what it is. It's much nicer than the wood that we were practicing on. So we had this like, I don't know, cheaper kind of wood when we were practicing on, and it was a bit harder. And then when he gave us this for our final project, I noticed that this wood is a bit more softer and it was easier to chisel. So I'm not sure if you actually know what this type of wood could be. Please do let me know in the comment section, because I would actually like to know. So I'm going to flip it upside down and I'm going to apply a coat of the wood stain. I'm going to use a sponge, and I just have some gloves. I'm going to cut up this sponge into smaller pieces, and then I have an old towel that has been cut up that I've been using. I just use these kind of for like DIY rags when I'm doing projects. So I'm going to just use this to wipe away any excess. So that is the plan. Slightly off topic, but I don't know if you can see, I put my clothes horse into the greenhouse because the rain has come as promised by good old Google, and I was like, oh no, but I don't want to have the washing in the kitchen while I'm working in case I get like stain on it. So I put my little clothes donkey in the greenhouse, which I thought was very clever. Spoiler alert, you'll see later in the video that I wasn't in love with the shade that I picked. So I'm using Sandalin, I think that's how you pronounce it. Wasn't mad on this wood stain at all. There was a really long drying time. It was high in VOCs. I don't think I would repurchase it again. But if it's all you have, you want to try it, then absolutely. It didn't smell too bad, but I did have the kitchen door open. And I'm just using a sponge to apply it to the wood. And I'm just smoothing it in with the direction of the wood grain.
The stories I've been told, they never seem to leave my mind. And this road that I am on, I gotta stay here for some time. Time is gone and I grew up. I somehow made it through without losing sight. And I still wonder where you are, and if you found a way out from the dark.
So I'm not sure if I am in love with this shade. The thing with wood stain is it's much longer. Well, that particular one that I have to wait longer between coats. It's not like when you're painting and it's like recoat in like 2-3 hours. I do have to wait. I do kind of like it. I just was worried. The one thing I didn't want was orange. She is looking a little bit orangey. I wonder, could I lighten it up? I do have some wax oil that's in like a light shade, but I will leave it dry. I'll actually probably have to give it a second coat tomorrow because it says it's touch dry in 4 to 6 hours, but recoat in 16 to 24 hours. So I can just chill on my table after eat dinner around the stool. So my next job is I want to see if I can wash these, because these are just, I think, like soot from coal and stuff, and there's just a couple of, yeah, they're just stained a little bit. But I'm hoping, is my jumper, if I can zip them off and put them in the wash. I just don't want the colour to run, but I'm thinking if I do a cool hand wash, hopefully it works. If not, we'll just have to flip it so that the flowers are on the other side. I mean, they zip off for a reason, so hopefully. would like to do my pink couch as well, but obviously I'm not going to put the pink in with this one. So I'm going to put these in and see how I get on. Okay, moment of truth, but first, my Spotify is on a mood. Mariah Carey. There was Whitney Houston a minute ago. Okay, I put, oh, it looks okay. Is the stain gone? Yes, I think, oh yes. Stain is gone and there is no like loose threads or damage. I'm sure there is like a wash care instruction. This is the first time I have gotten these professionally cleaned. I just wanted to throw them in the washing machine. There isn't a care label. Okay, I'm going to say that was a success. Like, I know people do this all the time, but because these are that velvety material, I'll put loads of the smelly stuff in as well. Right, I'm going to leave these out to dry, and I think I'm going to strip the pink couch and wash them as well. My next segment is all of the random things I have found whilst doing up my living room, thanks to my niece and nephew. We have Le Dinky car. I have, well, this could be belonging to me, but I have a feeling it's one of theirs. We have a crock gibbet that was in the couch. I think this looks like something you get in the Kinder Egg, is it? That was behind the cabinet, and then a teeny tiny, looks like a Kinder Egg thing as well. So I never know what to do with the treasure, but I know you can't hang on to it forever. I'm going to leave it on my mantelpiece, and when I see my niece and nephew next, I shall be like, hey, what are you going to do with this? I am not in love with the colour of the wood stain. Like, I slept on it, and as it was drying, it was getting more orangey toned, even though when I looked at it on the plank, but it's obviously maybe a different type of wood, maybe the oils, maybe it reacted and it's a bit more orange toned. So I'm gonna go over to, I think I'll pop into Woodies and see if I can get, like, I just want an ashy toned stain, not yellow. Not yellow, so I'll give it a sand and put a coat of something different on it. Hopefully they have some shades when I go over. That's the thing, you can have an idea in your head, but it may not be on stock on the shelves. I'll show it to you anyway. Oh, also, the washing of the covers was a success. I don't think any of the covers shrunk. Everything went back on grand, and I think the colour tone is the same. I was more so worried about the pink one. I was worried if I washed the pink that it might, I don't know, fade the colour, but I did a cool hand wash and it was fine. So I haven't put back on the cushions because 3 of those ones I want to make new cushions, and these ones I actually need to pop in the wash as well. Now I have washed these a good couple of times before, so I know that they're going to be fine. So yeah, I just need to make a decision. I need to go look in the fabric shops. God, there's so much to do. but I am happy. So if you do have this particular sofa set with the velvety kind of finish, it was grand putting it in the washing machine. Now let's have a little look at the stool. So as you can see, it is quite, you know what, it kind of looks different on camera. It looks a bit more yellow on camera, but in real life it's a bit more orangey. I mean, I could give it a light sanding, do a second coat, but I have a feeling it's not the kind of colour I'm after. I'm after something a bit more browner and less kind of orangey. But at least it has dried. It took ages to dry. So I'm going to fly over because I need to get caulk anyway. So I'm going to fly over and I'm going to get another wood stain and some caulk. And then I'll sand this. The weather is the same as yesterday. The washing is still in the greenhouse because it's like dry. It's just showers. It's like April showers, but in May. But okay, let's go get some wood stain. After picking up some wood stain, I decided to tackle the door because outside it was just raining and showers back to back, and I really wanted to bring the wooden stool outside so that I could sand it. So I'm just getting rid of the grey that is on the front of this door, and I actually am painting the wrong shade of white. I popped on a primer that I had in my kit, and I'm putting on Colour Trends Arctic Blonde, which is a lovely white. However, the white that is on my fireplace and on the skirting boards in the hallway, cherished white, I think. Cherished white, I think is the name. It's cherished something, and it's a slightly warmer white. And you're probably thinking, I can't really notice, it's probably not a big deal. But I left the door so I could get some cherished white so that I could paint it the proper shade. So not very exciting painting doors, but I just wanted to kill the grey because it didn't go with the rest of the room, and the door is sometimes left open, so the grey just stuck out like a sore thumb. Torrential downpours aside, I think I am happy-ish. I have to wait for it to dry with the stain on this. It's a bit more warmer, slightly darker. There is some areas where I'm gonna have to see here, just sand it and do a second coat. But there's only, the one that I picked up only has a 1 hour drying time, so this is a dye. Whereas the other one, I think it was a stain, I'm not sure, but I sanded as much as I could and then I stuck a coat of that on it. But yeah, I'm going to see how it dries. It's definitely a bit more warmer. It could dry orange and I could be back to square one. Okay, checking back in on my stool. I love the colour of it now. It is much more warm toned, but not orange toned. I just touched up some of the corners there. So I think I'm going to give it, I need to seal it. I'm just going to give it a minute, about 20 minutes, let that dry. Oh, Mr. Robin is looking for some food. To seal my chair and to give it a little something, I had some wax oil. It's Authentico Grandiose wax oil, and I think it's in a white shade. I do have a picture of the tin to pop on screen, and this gives a lovely rusticy whitewashed finish to the chair. And I wanted to just kind of, I don't know, just give it a little something. So I already had it in my stash. You can get coloured waxes from lots of the kind of paint companies. I know Authentico does a couple of different shades of wax, or you can also just use clear wax. You could use a clear varnish as well. You could also use a beeswax. So you'll see I have my stool in the sitting room, but I wasn't able to style it with anything because the wax was actually still drying. This hard wax oil takes 24 hours to be fully dry, and then I think it takes about 3 weeks for it to be cured. I have this on my kitchen table actually, and it's nice and durable. I was saying in last week's video how I have my fireplace mirror. So this was on the mantelpiece, but because I did the wallpapering, I don't want to block it. And I was saying how I think it might be nice on this wall, and a couple of you guys had said yes, try it, see how it's gonna look. So I did, and I somehow managed to, when I was making this frame panel, I was just trying to keep it in line with the radiator below it, but it turns out to be a perfect square for this mirror. Okay, I'm in a sweat. Now, I didn't get to go to the fabric shop, but yesterday I did go to the salvage yard with Joanne and Karen, which will be on Sunday's garden video. I will give you a rummage through the salvage yard. Some of the bits I had to get home delivery. I got 2 mirrors for the garden. I got some barrels and yeah, a few little bits, but that will be in Sunday's video. So I hope that makes up for not going to the fabric shop. I have my niece and nephew coming over. Oh, did I spill my tea? I spilled my tea. Just hold it like that. I have my niece and nephew coming over for a sleepover, and I don't think I'll make it out and back to the fabric shop because it's in Newbridge, so I think it's like 50 minutes away. It's also a Saturday as I'm filming this, which means there will be Saturday traffic. I also need to start getting my bits ready for Chelsea. So lots of fun things happening on, so this will be up on Thursday. I'll have a Sunday garden video, which will be the salvage yard. Make sure to pop over to Instagram on the Monday because I will be at the Chelsea Flower Show. Yay! And I will take loads of pics and spam, and I'll try and also, that festival does be on Chelsea in Bloom, where all of the flower displays do be on around, just be on around like King's Road. Can't think of the names off the top of my head, but like there's be Belgravia in Bloom, so all around that area they do kind of like a little festival. I think this year's theme is film related, so they do fresh flower displays. I think it's a competition, but you can walk around with a little coffee and admire them all. I will make sure I will get lots of footage of them. Yes, fabric shop. You're just gonna have to wait for that one, but definitely I do want to do cushions with piping on them. And I'm still leaning towards a green shade. What do we think of stripe? Because you've got floral and then you could have a stripe. I'm thinking a cream fabric with a green stripe, or a green fabric with a cream stripe. Pick up on the cream of the walls maybe. I don't know. Anyway, I'm so sorry, that's all I got for you this week. But thank you so much for the love on last week's video where I was doing paneling and wallpapering, and I was so exhausted after doing that. So thank you for the lovely comments, and yeah, I hope if me tackling wallpapering has inspired you to tackle it as well. But don't be afraid to ask for help because I find it's a bit of a slog. So if you got someone to help you, take it. Anyway, that's me. See you in Sunday's video. And don't forget to check Instagram, which is at Dainty Dress Diaries. And Monday I will be at Chelsea on my stories. Cannot wait. See you then.